Paul Thomas Anderson has a unique approach to cinema. A visceral way of looking at the world translates to films that are difficult to look away from. His filmography demands your attention and is in so many ways the paradigm of cinema. It is for that reason that his many works are worshipped as cult classics, much like the cults in his films The Master and Inherent Vice. It's that precise parallel that is the reason I'm writing to you today. See, it has become a staple of cinema to establish a cinematic universe, much like the Marvel movies did back in 2009. Tarantino often hints at the idea of his films being in the same universe, as brands of cigarettes and burger joints intertwine throughout his films. PTA does not do this. However, it's long been a habit of filmmakers to be in conversation with each other. Malcolm Washington identifies this dialogue between film artists when he takes the work of Agnes Varga.
Yeah, one of the great film love stories. These two incredible artists. You look at, one thing I love about film is the dialogue between artists, and not only between each other, with Michel Legrand tying them together in so many ways, but if you look at Umbrellas of Cherbourg and you look at Do the Right Thing, you see artists and dialogue. So French New Wave is coming in the bag.
Jackie Chan box set, you know what I'm saying?
This is a way of moving through a work. The act of being in conversation engages you with the artist, making watching a film a much more active performance rather than a passive one. Paul Thomas Anderson participates in this dialogue, like how the cultural zeitgeist was shifted when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, inspiring PTA to write his own love letter to LA in response to that film when he made Licorice Pizza. However, he also appears to be in dialogue with himself. If his films were people, they'd be talking over coffee and cigarettes, much like the opening of his directorial debut, Hard Eight. PTA says,
if you don't know what you're writing, just put two people in a coffee shop and have them start talking, and it will eventually figure itself out.
That's exactly what PTA is doing with his films. He's figuring himself out through his work. Let's start where he got to start, Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights is all about capturing intimacy in a raw and untethered way. Dirk Diggler wants to create a porn that engrosses the viewer so unapologetically that it grips the viewer even after the moment of lethargic release, for lack of a better term. The same pursuit is seen in films like Ingmar Bergman's Persona, which provides arousal without even really showing anything, just by simply telling. So that's who PTA is in conversation with here. Films about arousal without just simply delivering porn. This is a repeated motif within his films. This is explored differently in each film. It reaches its catharsis in Phantom Thread, where the intimacy captured is wrong, but arousal is punched out so eloquently into dialogue. It also appears abruptly in films like Inherent Vice and Magnolia. Just a single shot of two characters engaging in the same intimate action that got Dirk Diggler famous in that jaw-clenching scene of his first shoot. Perhaps I'm thinking about this too much, or perhaps not enough. See, another signature motif in this early era of PTA's work is his fascination with freak accidents. In a scene in the later half of Boogie Nights, a shootout goes down that kills everyone in the store except for Don Cheadle's character. This freak accident fascination is elaborated on in Magnolia, when freak accidents happen over and over again, climaxing with frogs falling from the sky like a plague from the Bible, the most unpredictable of freak accidents. PTA later embellishes this by tying a freak accident into the core part of H.W.'s character in There Will Be Blood, an accident that rendered him deaf and informed his character development for years to come. That brings me to my last PTA fascination I've identified, which is mentally challenged characters. Of course, there's H.W., but also Barry from Punch Drunk Love is the epitome of someone with high-functioning autism. The same could be said for Woodcock in a different way from Phantom Thread. If his breakfast is ruined, he's not himself for the rest of the day.
Please don't move so much, Alma.
That brings me to PTA's latest film, the newest release, One Battle After Another. Bob is paranoid. The characters call him paranoid, the logline calls him paranoid, but his paranoia stems from PTSD and borders on schizophrenia at times. Nevertheless, the film's core essence is about how he comes through as a father despite his flaws. This is where PTA's fascination with mentally impaired characters reaches its climax. In the words of Carson Runquist,
it does read like a film that took an entire career to make.
And that's what makes it so important of a film in this newfound cultural zeitgeist. Instead of responding to another filmmaker, he's responding to himself, building on himself, and finding himself within the film. It's a journey of self-discovery, and we're lucky to be along for the ride.